Hey everyone, Kevin with Kittyhawk here, and today I'd like to walk through a generic pilot's workflow in Kittyhawk. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying we support a lot of different workflows, and what we're going to walk through is just a basic idea of the average experience for the pilot that we see on the platform today. So, for our mission today, let's plan a flight out in Greensboro, North Carolina. So here's GSO PTI Airport, and let's plan for this quarry right there. So we're going to go ahead and tap Add along the bottom, and let's start with creating our mission. So first we need to define the start date. So let's say tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Now you'll notice it automatically pushes it out an hour, but maybe we need some longer time. Then we're going to give it a friendly name. A lot of our clients tend to use a naming scheme for all their missions so that the names line up, they're easily searchable, and at a quick glance we know exactly what the purpose of that mission was. So you'll notice it's currently pulling my lat-long coordinates here. So let's go ahead and correct that. We'll jump in and give it a new set of coordinates. Now we can search or pull from our previous locations. And let's go ahead and drop it here. Set. Now we've updated our mission location. So now we have our mission, and we can continue on with some of our pre-flight procedures. So if we tap Add, we can walk through a quick risk assessment. Now the initial is for the planning phase, maybe back at the office, and the pre-flight will be the pilot in the field getting ready to fly. So we're going to pretend we have the drone in front of us and we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and attach it to our mission. We can even push this out as well. We can link our aircraft, and we can even add notes. And you'll notice it's capturing the geotag from where and when we're conducting this. So we have the ability to add credibility to our compliance data that our pilots are performing pre-flight checks on scene at the time of flight. Now step one, it will pull data from the pilot's profile, and then it will ask certain things that FAA is looking for. So we can acknowledge the pilot's feeling good and rested. We can mark that we're feeling confident, or macho as they like to put it. And we can even say, let's say we're doing minimal flight preparation, and it will be a solo operation. Now that we have eyes in the field, we can answer these situational awareness questions a little better. So at the quarry, let's say the area is unpopulated. We have a clear flight path, no power lines or anything nearby. We're using a landing pad, and this was in controlled airspace, so we do require authorization. So you'll notice it's pulling data from my current location, but we can manually adjust that since we know better. And it will also pull in weather and daylight information as well. So we're in the green still, score of 23 here. Basically like golf, the lower the score the better. So we can mark done and go ahead and log that. Now we'll log our pre-flight checklist, or perhaps you have arrival on scene checklists or anything else that we need to document. Those can be done through our completely customizable checklists, and the options are really limitless here. So as an example, we're using genuine parts. We took everything off the charger this morning, the gimbal lock's off, propellers are secure, all the firmware is up to date, and by running the risk assessment, we did evaluate our airspace a little bit, and we also consider the pilot as a risk factor. Now we want to ensure we're in GPS mode, and that we've double-checked all our compliance data. Any TFRs, NOTAMs, anything like that we need to be aware of. And we can even add some optional items like, do we need a sun hood, or possibly a battery bank if we're going to be doing some extended flying. So we'll go ahead and link this with our aircraft and our mission, and let's log that checklist. So if you remember from the beginning, we did select a location that's in controlled airspace. So let's go ahead and request the LANC for that. So again, we can search for an address or lat long, or we can simply hone in on the particular area, and let's drop our pin. So we have two advisories at KGSO, which is Class Charlie airspace. Let's tap on that button in the bottom to get more info. We can see this is a LANC facility, and at this particular location, we could get auto approval up to 200 feet. So that looks good. Let's get authorization. So at this location, we are good up to 200 feet. And let's adjust our flight boundaries to cover the proposed area. Tap next, everything looks good. And let's make sure this coincides with our date of flight. Let's say we need a few hours here. So everything looks good so far. Let's double check our details and move on to the final step. This will include information about the pilot and then some reminders about the 107 as well as the LANC process. Once we agree to these, we can submit, which will go live to the FAA. And now we have a new LANC authorization. So our LANC lines up with our time of flight. And when we fly, we can actually attach this to our flights to help document our authorization. And we can do that by when we're getting ready for flight in the flight configuration screen. Before we launch, there will be the option to link a LANC authorization at the bottom, and we can attach that relevant authorization, go ahead and link, and we're good to go. And we can also predefine our mission here, so our subsequent flight will automatically get logged and attached. And then you'll notice in the top right we have the option to go fly, which we would then tap into and be brought to our in-flight screen where we could proceed to take off and fly our mission. That's a quick, generic process of the average pilot's experience on Kittyhawk. I hope that helps clarify some of this workflow, and if you have any questions or you would like us to help iron out the workflow with your commercial operations, don't hesitate to reach out and our enterprise team would be glad to talk to you. Thanks for choosing Kittyhawk, and as always, fly safe and fly often.